I'm Drew,
And this is Beth,
and this is
and
the
this
Asking
is the
Eagles
Eagles
podcast.
podcast. We'll get better at that.
Yeah, we'll try. Um, Welcome everybody. Let's just jump right into it. We got a lot of stuff to go over, so we'll start. Let's start with Big Bear. I was kind of grappling with what to put up on the screen, so I just went with the beautiful view. I think it's part of the reason people love this nest so much. It's got a great view of Big Bear. There's not a whole lot going on. We can kind of give you um, the view of Big Bear and kind of go over what happened and our suspicions. I'll start. Um, there was eggs, two eggs, and there was definitely one that was looked like it was punctured. I think there was some reports that maybe the second one was punctured too, and then both of the eagles kind of stopped incubating and left for a while. I think it was what was it, Beth? Like at least an hour, right? I think it
I
was.
think it was longer than that, and I
Yeah,
think there was a third egg that was not like fully an egg
yeah, yeah.
as
So
well.
there was some debate whether, and then a raven came in and preyed on the nest and took the eggs. So really, the gist of it was, did the eagles realize that there was something going on with the eggs and they just abandoned, or was this a straight preying on the nest? That I kind of conclude, and you let me know how you feel, Beth. But it seemed like they realized something was wrong,
Yep.
and they just kind of abandoned. And then the raven came in later. I wouldn't, I wouldn't, I wouldn't say this is a full on like preying on the nest. It seemed like they had already abandoned it, and
The Ravens were just taking
yeah,
advantage of what
yeah.
Jackie and Shadow set up.
Yeah, so and I think there's been a lot of speculation on why this occurred, and I have some guesses, and we'll hear from Beth as well. I think they knew. My suspicion is they knew that something went wrong, and was it, I guess, did they puncture it accidentally? Because that does happen. A lot of eagles tuck in their talons and walk around real gingery around the nest, so they don't do that. But it does happen where you can puncture. It doesn't typically happen to both eggs, so that'd be my only. That would be kind of weird if they poke both eggs. But that could have happened, so that could have been, and it could have been something. I was trying to figure out, through some of the groups in Big Bear that kind of specialize in that. It has Big Bear Lake been, water tested for toxins, and is there any issues locally with toxins? Because that with brittle eggs, that can be a sign of some sort of toxin as well. DDT is the main one, but there are other things that can affect eggs and affect eagles in up in the upper apex food chain and cause eggs to be brittle and easier to break. So that's a possibility too. I don't know if we'll ever know, but that was what we guessed. And Beth, if you have any theories, I'd love to hear them too as well. With what?
Well, I kind of well, not. I think what you're saying is interesting, and that there could be some something that maybe is going on with toxicity there. And I also think it's kind of indicative of their age. They're not new to this rodeo.
Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting when Jackie called Shadow to tag team to let her fly out of the nest, and he came into the nest and he's like, what am I doing?
yeah,
These are not eggs I can incubate anymore. And he kind of buried them. Um, so I think Shadow instinctively knew it was over. And Jackie maybe took a little more time to realize it. But to me, they've totally, they're onto it. They know that it's over, which is great because they can do a reset
yeah,
and hopefully reclutch. But if you remember Mikey, those were a young pair of eagles, and they still had some dark brown markings on them, and they were, due to human disturbance, came up off their nest and off their eggs, and it was a cold day. It was like, I don't know, upper 20s, and they were off the nest for hours, and so those eggs became non-viable, and they just kept coming back to incubate. And then they'd give up for a day and they'd fly away because, it's like they realized they were non-viable, and then they'd come back and they'd incubate again. And then they'd leave and this went on for almost 2 weeks. And that was a young pair. And so I think they just had trouble realizing it. So
Yeah.
I think it's really good on Jackie and Shadow's part that they know that the eggs are gone, and hopefully they have a chance at a second clutch. Mikey, unfortunately, did not, and that was the last we ever saw of those birds at that nest. They then abandoned that nest because it was a failure 2 years in a row, and
Yeah.
we've
And
never found them again.
yeah, and we've seen that a lot in the nest watches, especially the younger ones. I mean,
Yeah,
we've had ones that incubate for like months, like a month to a month and a half to 2 months. And the volunteer keeps saying, they're still on the eggs, and I'm like,
yeah.
they're not viable. They're just a younger pair, and there is that instinct to incubate the eggs. And I know there was some chatter on some of the groups that's probably what was going on with Jackie. Is her instinct was to say, sit on this nest and incubate them, even though these eggs weren't obviously not viable.
And
And
her hormones are telling her to
yeah,
do that too.
yeah.
So
So her instincts and her hormones are saying, sit on this egg. And then with experience, this is, as Beth mentioned it, this is a more experienced pair. So I think they realize that. And if they move on, the next question is, can they do a second clutch? You know, to be honest, I think we've done this for 8 years with the Nest Watch. I think there's probably a handful that we saw reclutch. So it's possible. What they have going for it is it's very early in the season, and there is still time. It's a matter of it all matching up.
yeah.
Jackie's going to have to, pretty much her system's going to have to kind of reboot and then get back to the point where she's laying eggs. And it's got to be in the right timing for it to be successful. So it is, it's pretty rare. I'm not saying there's not a chance, but we'll see, and we'll keep an eye on it. It's just
Well,
it's a
it is
shame.
rare around here, where
Yeah,
it's colder. It's, I
yeah,
think, rarer than,
yeah.
yeah.
But there's still a chance that they can, and we'll have to wait and see. I think they just had a rough go of it since the start.
Yeah.
And I think it was great last year with the success. I think a lot of people were happy around the country, but they're kind of back to their ways of just nest failing and just bad luck and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. So
Well, it's well, they're on the less lucky side
yeah,
of rearing chicks. Most nests do not have um such a such a bad record. I
yeah,
don't want to say that, badly towards them. There's just um we're more successful than what you see if you're watching this nest and this nest only.
yeah,
So not all eagles have this kind of difficulty. And there are eagle nests that year after year after year after year produce multiple 2 or 3 chicks per season. And that's just a winning combo that you wish you could
yeah.
replicate.
Yeah, because it's such a long season. It's a 5-6 month process. So there's a lot that can go wrong in those times, and it's a matter of, is a freak storm and spring rolls through, and it gets
Yeah.
cold, or the nest falls down. There's a lot that can go wrong. So go for them to be successful year after year is you have to have good luck, and you have to have a good experienced crew, an eagle pair. And unfortunately, Jackie and Shadow haven't had everything fall in place. They had a very good year last year, but we'll see.
They certainly have a beautiful home.
They do, yeah, and that's why I'm like, everybody's been showing the pictures of the raven pecking at, and I'm just like, let's just show the beautiful
Ravens are
eagle.
going to do that, and if the
Yeah,
Ravens don't do it, the Jackie and Shadow are. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, they
we've said
will.
it on here, a lot, but you don't waste a resource.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
as sad as that is, and how, no matter how odd it is to us as humans, that is the way of bald eagles.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on it. But I checked today. There's not a whole lot going on. So hopefully they're at least in the background copulating and still in the area. But we'll see what happens, and maybe they'll do a second laying, but we'll see what happens there.
I
Well,
briefly saw that another nest somewhere else went down in the windstorms in Florida, and they
yeah,
believe the babies are lost. And that's one of the most heartbreaking things to do, to
yeah,
go to a nest that has fallen, and you're hoping that, the chicks have survived, and, that's almost never
yeah,
at what the situation is going to be. So the things like that are going to happen, and, that's what makes the nesting eagle season rough.
yeah, yeah. All right, so we'll move on to our
Mhm.
Trempealeau, Wisconsin nest, the only nest cam in the state of Wisconsin. And I guess, Beth, why don't you talk a little bit about what's going on at the nest, and then I'll fill in as needed.
Well, so our RP has made some observations about what's going on, which is really interesting, which is that it appears that the Minnesota island nest female has been sort of run out of the territory by Mrs. T. Mr. and Mrs. T seem to be sticking to each other side by side. They also apparently don't like all the decorations that were done to their nest with cameras, and so they are relocating into a neighboring tree and built a new nest. And Larry, who is our on the grounds reporter on the Trempealeau nest, um, had a picture today showing Mrs. T laying in the newly built nest. It looks like she was trying it on for size. She looked pretty comfortable in there. And he was standing by. So we'll see what nest they pick, and we'll also see if Mrs. MNI is actually gone. Minnesota Island Nest is gone. And just a little back and forth with Larry, with him and some other people who are commenting on his photo. He is not necessarily certain that she is gone for good, and it is still early there. So these guys are not gonna be on eggs anytime that soon, I don't think. But they should be, because the weather can just be a lot colder up where they are. So they might be a little ways off yet from actually going on eggs. But they are a handsome looking pair.
They are, yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It seemed like there was a date like around the 15th, the middle of January,
January.
where she got Mrs. T got a little aggressive, and reports is she kind of went at the Miss Minnesota, and might have drove her off. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. This is typically what happens, and that's why trio nests are so weird and rare, because you usually see, especially when the hormones kick up and that they get very territorial, they should drive off. That third eagle that close should be driven off. So maybe this year Mrs. T is kind of putting down a marker saying, hey, this is my area.
This
Um,
time I want all
yeah,
three of my kids to survive, not just
yeah,
one.
yeah.
And
So
that is, that was the result of the loss of her two chicks, was most likely due to a trio nest, but it wasn't, anything malicious. It's it's just the way things work in the raptor world. Unfortunately, she had to go get food, and it was raining and it was cold, and yeah, we lost two of hers, but the three at the Minnesota Island nest survived, and so three eagles raising four. birds to fledge. That's actually
Yeah,
a
it's a pretty good ratio. Yeah.
that's a good ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
So, it could have been better, but
Yeah.
you don't knock it. That
Yeah.
was decent.
Yeah. So it doesn't, my suspicion is maybe they'd merge into a trio nest. It doesn't seem like it's going to be the case there. With the feuding, and we'll see. As Beth mentioned, this is early in the season for northern Wisconsin. They usually get started. Our southern nests are just starting, and we have a few on eggs right now in southern Wisconsin. That northern Wisconsin's usually at least a few weeks behind. So I think at the earliest it'd be the middle of February, probably more likely the end of February into March is when, if everything goes well, Mrs. T will go on and lay eggs. So got a little while to go. So we'll see what happens with this nest. So I thought that was really interesting and
Yeah.
excited to see what Larry sees, and if
And I
they
loved
use that.
Raptor Resource, as the Eagle Nest turns. Yeah, we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. But, this one really does deserve that soap opera
Oh
labeling.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this is intriguing. So as an
It's
eagle,
fascinating.
yeah, fascinated with especially nesting eagles. This is just something that, and I'm very fascinated with. We have two trio nests in our program, and those are just fascinating too. Like, how do those happen? So, but we'll
Because
see
it
what
goes
happens.
against the grain
Yeah, it
completely
really
of
does.
what these birds are supposed to do.
Yeah. So, all right. And another kind of a sad note, we got a report of one of our friends, rehabbers in Poinette, Wisconsin, which is in my area that I lead. Unfortunately, this eagle was seen by a landowner acting very strange, um, and
Watched it spiral down out of the
yeah,
sky.
yeah. So and then crashed, and they were able to grab it, which is not a great sign too. That's an indicator that there's a lot going on, because uh, even half healthy eagle is extremely hard to catch. So they caught this eagle, they brought it into Who's, and unfortunately they did some tests. It in a lot of cases that kind of symptoms could be lead poisoning, and it was ruled out.
Well,
Um,
Diane, the thing that she said and is because avian flu or HPAI and lead poisoning have very similar symptoms, and they both have neurological symptoms where the bird loses its ability to coordinate itself for flight or for even walking. And with HPAI, then the crooked neck is kind of like the last phase of it. But it was tested for lead poisoning, and that wasn't the issue. But the other thing is that I thought was very educational about the post is that lead poisoning takes a long time, whereas HPAI is really um, it hits very quickly and very very fast. So based on the test that they did, they're saying this is HPAI, which is not anything you or I or anyone else wants to hear. And
no,
I hope this isn't like 2022.
no, no. So yeah, that's especially at this point in the season, like right at the beginning. We don't
Yeah.
we don't want to see this. So
But
um,
if you remember last year, we had all those dead Merriganzers
yeah,
washing up on the shore of Lake Michigan, and um, fortunately, we were able to. We had somebody who was cleaning the beach rather rapidly as they washed ashore, hoping that none of our raptors got them. We did end up losing a male near where the Merriganzers, a male eagle, where the Merriganzers were washing ashore. We never found him. Um, but she came back with a new male this year. So,
yeah,
um, but hopefully nothing will be as bad as 2022.
yeah. So we'll see. It's alarming. So we'll be monitoring the situation here in Wisconsin.
And
And
now,
yeah,
unfortunately, this is gonna potentially be one of your nests, or it
yeah,
was something
yeah.
passing
So
through.
yeah, we're trying. We're in basically our first week of monitoring. So we'll see what kind of data we get, and information out there. Fingers crossed it's not.
Yeah.
It's always obviously devastating if anytime you lose an eagle, but if it's one that's actually associated with a nest and not a migrant, or one that doesn't have a nest, it's even more dramatic because you're breaking up that pair and the potential to breed. So we'll see. We'll again keeping an eye on this one as well. So
And then finding a new mate isn't that hard, but it's too
yeah,
late for this season.
yeah. So I'll let you go, Beth. Now, as far as took you and
Mhm.
your husband Ken took a little bit of a trip, and got
Yeah.
some great photography. So I'll
Oh, this is not my best, but
yeah,
I thought it was kind of fun. Yeah, it's it's been life has been challenging at times over the past year, but uh my husband took me for a little road trip to go see eagles on the river, a drive that wasn't too long, and saw this mature eagle going in for a fish. And it's so hard when you're really far away. This picture is heavily cropped, um, but you're just like, did it catch anything? I can't tell. And I think eagles, get some bad PR that they aren't good hunters and they aren't good fishers. Um, because unless you're taking photos, sometimes you can't tell were
yeah,
they successful or were they not until you look at the photos.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
you look at this one; it's a big blob of
yeah,
spray from the water. So it looks like they got a fish, but you're not sure
you're
until
not sure until you look at the next picture, and then you're like, oh
yeah, and
yeah,
it's clearly a fish. So I'm
it
not
kind of
sure
fit.
what
But
kind.
I couldn't tell that from where I was
Yeah,
standing, so I'm like, we have a big discussion. Did it or didn't it? And
yeah,
then, but the success rate seems really high for
yeah,
eagles fishing. I think eagles catching mammals is a different story,
yeah.
but eagles catching fish is a pretty good record.
Yeah, especially the older ones, the adults, they're just more experienced. You watch like a younger one, like a 2-year-old or 1-year-old. The lot they're not really good at it, so it takes time. And but yeah,
As we were sitting there, and this juvenile was sitting up in this snag, and which is a dead tree, and eagles love snags. And there's just a ton of duck and mergansers and golden eyes on the river. And all of a sudden, it just took off its perch and it flew down to the river and it went after a goose. And it's like,
yeah,
what the heck are you doing? And it then it turned around and flew back to the perch. And
yeah,
it's like, you're gonna pick the biggest.
yeah. Meanest bird. Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
gonna go well.
I'm sure he was missing some feathers when he returned to his.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course one of your longtime pairs, and this is
Yeah.
this is a perfect example of a pair that's real productive every year. You know, raising two
This is
different
what we think is one of our top producers out
yeah.
of
So
the
and
entire
they're
program, or at least top 10.
yeah.
Um, they average, we say 1.5 or 1.4 is our
Yeah,
ratio.
1.5, 1.6, depending on
Yeah.
is the normal, is the
And
average.
these guys are 2.7.
Yeah, so yeah,
So
these guys boost up that average for
they're
sure.
the reason it's high. And
Yeah,
they have been gone for a long time. And we were coming back from the Wisconsin River and we drove by their nest and they were sitting there, and I was so excited to see him.
yeah,
I was just happy they both look fabulous. That was Sunday, and I haven't seen him since.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's still cold there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I know you were saying that the forecast is getting a lot better going forward. So,
Yeah,
um,
our lakes will start getting
yeah, those
unfrozen.
the Eagles will get in, start getting more active too, and we'll
Yeah.
start. As I said, I think we have at least two on eggs right now, and there's probably a couple more. These are our typical early birds, as we call them, that just get on way before everybody else, and it
These
can be
guys are
frustrating. Yeah,
Valentine's Day typically.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, they got what 10 days or
Yeah,
so. So yeah,
my beautiful birds.
yeah,
And they're not my birds, they're their own birds, but
yeah.
yeah.
You've adopted them, yeah.
Yeah.
Watch them sometimes. Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love them. They are as solid as they come. They have
Yeah.
never ever missed a year, and they've never raised just one.
Yep.
So
And then you took some really cool photos too. Is this Sauk or is
this
this?
is Sauk. Yeah, this is
Okay.
entering
Yeah.
Sauk. So this is the bridge where
Oh yeah. Okay.
I will
Yeah.
say we performed an illegal mover
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
Ken stopped the car. I got out, and um, this is not appropriate behavior at all. But it was right as the sun was coming up, so nobody was out except for us.
Yeah.
And you can see the steam rising off the Wisconsin River, and that was what was causing the hoarfrost in the trees, and it was just unbelievably gorgeous.
So we got some of them.
Yep.
That's yeah.
So the sun was rising, and we were both tired, but we were both like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so glad we did this."
It's really neat.
So,
Some other ones. Yeah. Yeah. I highly recommend the Sauk areas. Prairie du Sac and Sauk City.
yeah,
That's kind of my old haunts. That's where I monitored most of my nests when I was in Wisconsin. So it's a really great area if you're looking for eagles, especially this time of year. Um, it's a great place to watch eagles on the Wisconsin. There's
I
a
think it's
dam. There's a
about
couple
an hour and a
areas.
half for us. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
to get
So
there.
and then this one's really cool. I like
Yeah,
the
I
steam.
just could not get over how beautiful it was with
Yeah,
the light. Um, Even, if you look at me, I've got the Aurora Borealis
yeah, yeah,
behind me, but
yeah,
um, I just thought this was, you know, if you like eagles and you like birding and you like being in nature, you're very lucky if you catch moments like this. And
yeah,
so I told Drew, you should put some frost pictures on and just show
yeah,
people how pretty
yeah.
it can be being at a river at the crack of dawn. So,
Yeah, and I mean this is why we do it too, just being out in nature.
yeah.
I think we all enjoy this. I think all our volunteers enjoy this. It's just a great process, and you get a little bit of that at the nest cam, like Big Bear. Big Bear is a beautiful spot, but I really enjoy being out in nature, watching eagles, but watching other stuff too, and just
And
being.
this isn't quite as crazy as the Mississippi, but there are just a lot of
Yeah,
nests right along here that take advantage of the dams. And, the rivers are all open around here. It's the lakes that are frozen over.
yeah,
So moving water is staying open.
yeah, and there's definitely, especially in the soccer, there's areas that I don't think I there's areas I've never seen frozen. So there's at least a portion of it, and of course the dam always stays open, but there's other parts around the Sauk area that just don't freeze. It's a big enough river and deep enough and whatnot. It just doesn't freeze, but there are sections that do freeze. Um, so yeah, that's I think that's what we got so far. Just to give a brief update to our Eagle group. As I said, we have a couple, and I always say that eagles are romantic birds, so it's around Valentine's Day. They'll have eagle, they'll start having eggs in the nest. So that's kind of one of our milestone dates. And as Beth mentioned, one of her pairs usually has eggs by then, and then it goes for about another a month from there. That's kind of southern Wisconsin's sweet spot between the 14th and the middle of.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, St. Pat. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that's usually when we see a lot, and we'll see what happens, and we'll be back with you next week. Again, subscribe, like. We love comments, we love feedback, so let us know it, and photography too. We'd love to highlight people. We've been highlighting Beth and Ken's photography, but if you have some great shots, send them along, and we'll probably use it. So with that, if anything else, Beth?
Not for me.
Okay, all right.
We'll see you next time.